I'm Samantha Casano for GALvanize, and what an honor this is. I'm talking with a true pioneer in the broadcast industry, a six-time Emmy Award-winning producer and director for CBS Sports, and the only woman for any network either producing or directing games. What an honor, Suzanne Smith. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. GALvanize is wonderful.
Especially through GALvanize, we see so many young women who want to be on camera and are striving for that. But now we're seeing more and more women interested in working behind the scenes. What made you want to go in that direction, especially when you started out, considering that there probably weren't any female role models that you could look up to?
You're right. I think one of the reasons a lot of women want to be on camera now is because that's what they see. When you turn on a sporting event, you'll see a woman on the sideline. You don't see who's behind the scenes. For me personally, when I had started, I had a lot of experience at a young age. When I was in college, I had an internship at a local TV station and did various jobs. So fortunately for me, when I started my career, I was involved with different live sporting events. And every time I did it, I was challenged more, and it was exciting and it was fun for me. And I always wanted to do better. And now, nearly 40 years later, I still feel that way every single time I step into the director's chair, whether it's for a studio show or live sporting events. So I'm enormously fortunate that I love what I do, and I'm still challenged and excited about it every time I do it.
Now, you're probably always introduced as the only female NFL director. When did you see yourself as just a director, not a woman director?
That's a very good question, Samantha. I've always tried to just be who I am and not put a label on myself. And if other people want to put labels on you, so be it. And I think, especially when you're a first, people like to point to that. But for me, yes, a lot of things were exciting about being a first or being the only, but what I want to do is to get more women involved, get more qualified women involved. And as whether you said it's behind the scenes or on camera, to continue to do that. So I used to shy away from it. It was like, no, don't say that. Don't say that I'm the only. But then I realized it brought attention to it. And then it got other people to talk to me about it. So that hopefully will help more women get involved.
Now, your Twitter is filled with tweets of you cheering on other women in the sports industry and sharing their accomplishments. You're also involved with CBS Sports Network's all-female show, We Need to Talk. This industry can be so competitive. What made you want to be a champion for women, especially considering that maybe there wasn't a Suzanne Smith cheering you on beforehand?
Well, none of us, myself included, gets to the position that I'm in by ourselves. I've had a tremendous amount of support around me, whether it was family and friends or colleagues, male and female. So I've always felt like if I can help somebody else, that's what I want to do. And in addition, I know sometimes people are competitive with one another, but if you and I are working on a project together, if I'm supportive of you, hopefully you'll then be supportive of me, and consequently, the product will be better, okay? We will be better for it, and the product will be better. For me, it's just humankind, that we should all help one another and support one another. But you're right, especially at the beginning of my career, there's a lot of cutthroat stuff going on, and there's a great expression that I was talking about with some of my colleagues, and it is empowered women empower women. So that's what I'd like to do.
I love that. Now, recently, the Washington Post published that article about the toxic culture in the Washington football team. Now we're learning more about reporters' experience with sexism. Is that still something that you experience behind the scenes?
So, yes, I read the Washington Post article, certainly. And the culture in sports television years ago was a lot different than it is now. And I'm here to say it wasn't the best back years ago, but now it's changed for the better. And I think that there are more opportunities for women. People are treated better, more respectfully. And a lot of companies do now have no tolerance policies, which I think are great. And, a lot of the jokes that used to go on were like, oh, boys will be boys and it's not that bad and stuff. Women used to put up with that and tolerate it for many reasons, some of which you didn't want to lose your job. And that was a real thing. If you went against the grain, you thought you could lose your job. So I've always tried to be fair and speak up when I could. And I just think, in time, things are definitely changing. So, and I've worked at CBS Sports since 1983. So I've seen a lot of changes, but I've also seen changes in the industry across the board.
Now, like you said, you've been directing NFL games for over 3 decades, but the sports industry is definitely not for the faint of heart. There's long hours working on holidays, nights, weekends, missing out on important life moments. How do you spend time on your who when your do is so crazy?
Well, I think we all need to find a balance, and you're right. It's difficult. You have to learn to balance it, and to use your expression, it's not for the faint of heart. But one of the things I do tell people is, again, this is pretty specific to what I do because I travel for work, or at least pre-COVID, travel for work. Is remember the people at home. Your spouse, your family, your friends, because I think especially for your spouse or partner, it's more difficult sometimes for the person at home than it is for the person traveling.
Now, in GALvanize, we talk so much about being purposeful and meaningful in everything we do. What's the most purposeful and meaningful thing that you've done during this time without sports that you normally would have never had time to do?
Started learning to play the piano. I got a little keyboard at the beginning of COVID and been trying to teach myself to play. Which is not really going that great, but it's okay. It's fun. And then once we get back to things changing, hopefully get a tutor and do some lessons. So, take the time to do that. I've started meditating, which I'd done, again, on and off, here and there, but I always found like, well, I was going to do that, but, I had to take this call or I had to send this email. Or instead of sitting down to practice the piano for 20 minutes, I had to, call this person or do that or come up with an idea. So I think for me, during this time, I've had more time to take time for myself. And I think that is a good thing because when you're healthier with yourself, you can be better with other people.
Now, this series is all about who you are, not necessarily what you do. If I asked you to share your who without using your work in any way, do you have an answer?
Well, getting back to something that you said earlier, which was a nice compliment, that people look at me as helping others. So that's one of the nicest things that you could say to me. Maybe my who is to have everybody feel inclusive around me, whether it's my technical crew in the NFL, my bosses and colleagues in New York at our offices, my friends, my family, people that I just meet, or somebody like you today. So maybe that would be. I don't know if there's a word for it or not, but I guess maybe having people be inclusive and trying to help people and let them know their value.
Suzanne Smith, we are all so in honor of what you do, but more so who you are. Thank you so much for taking the time and your insight. It was an absolute honor.
Oh, great. Well, thank you very much. I'm proud of you and GALvanize and everything that they've been doing. And you've heard what I had to say. If there's anything I can do to help you or anybody that you work with or involved with, please feel free to reach out, and I'd be happy to share any stories with you personally or professionally.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Suzanne Smith and GALvanize. I'm Samantha Casano. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.